The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everyone. Good morning or afternoon to you. We're excited to have you join us today. We'll wait for a couple of more minutes for everyone to join before we start.
Looking forward to it, everybody.
All right, I think we're at the hour. So let's begin. Hello, everyone. A very good morning or afternoon to you all. I'm Akriti Mathur, and I am the marketing manager for Sage for Accountants. Before I jump into the webinar, just want to take you through a couple of housekeeping items. Today's presentation is about 45 to 50 minutes with time for Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the question box, and we will take it up right at the end. If you have any difficulties with sound or display, please reach out to us via the chat option or even the questions option, whatever works for you. On the GoToWebinar platform, you've got a little box on your right side of the screen, so use that for it. And today's presentation is going to be recorded, so you'll have the chance to share it with your colleagues or take it later and digest it later. So with that, I'm very excited to bring you today's webinar. At Sage, we strive to find ways to create resources for you that not only enable you to achieve a better work-life balance and allow you to leverage Sage for Accountants tools for your firm, but also to become a more efficient practice and firm. So therefore, we've put together today's webinar with the very awesome Ryan Lazanis, and where he'll be talking to you about the systematic firm, the 6 ways to less work and more life. Ryan is a CPA himself and the founder of Future Firm, and he's going to be sharing his expertise today in creating a streamlined firm. So without further ado, I pass the mic to you, Ryan.
Thank you very much, Akriti. Thank you to Sage for having me here. Thanks to everyone for joining. Looks like we have a good group today. We're over 100 people so far, so that's nice to see. I hope everyone's having a nice day so far, and I'm really looking forward to speaking to you all about the systematic firm, 6 steps to less work and more life. We have a lot to cover today. I'm going to get right into today's presentation. My objective for you today is quite simple, actually. I want to help you create a business that's going to increase your freedom, improve your lifestyle, reduce your workload, and give you the ability to scale your business with less effort. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to uncover a system to help you systematize your firm. I'm going to show you the 6 steps to this system, and I'm going to give you some actionable tactics that you can implement immediately following this presentation. It's looking to be around 45 to 50 minutes, as Akriti mentioned. And I imagine some people are going to have some questions, so don't hold back. If you have questions, I'll try to get to those by the end. I sometimes monitor the questions box as well, and sometimes I answer those on the spot. So get your questions in, don't be shy, and let's kind of get started. So I want to give you a little bit of context about myself, just so that you have some understanding for where I'm coming from. Once again, my name is Ryan Lazanis. I'm a CPA, born and raised in Montreal, Canada. I founded an accounting firm called Zen Accounting in 2013. When I started it, it was one of the very first online accounting firms in Canada. And the idea was to make accounting easy and pain-free for small business owners in a completely digital and automated environment. So I had a lot of great ideas when I started that firm. The problem was I had no clue how to implement or execute because I had never run a business before, no clue how to run a modern firm. There was no blueprint for that kind of firm out there. And believe me, I fell into all the pitfalls and traps possible. I was starting with 0 clients. I didn't know how to price. I didn't know how to sell. I didn't know how to market. I'd never hired or managed anyone in my life before. So it took me a little bit of time to kind of figure things out because I was really starting from scratch. But I realized along the way that I was more of a systems thinker. And I was able to take the firm from scratch all the way to acquisition in just 5 years. I was sold to a large corporate services firm based out of Europe. And I was able to do so along the way without having to work nights, without having to work weekends, without having to go through the crazy busy seasons, because I had developed a system to scale the firm. So that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. Immediately following the transition to the buyer, I founded Future Firm. I knew exactly what I wanted to do next. I wanted to help other firm owners avoid all those costly pitfalls and help them set up a modern firm that gives them a better lifestyle, that helps reduce their workload. And Future Firm really just started as a blog to document and journal my experience. I then started a newsletter. That newsletter is now read by almost 10,000 firm leaders globally. It's a free newsletter where I just delivered tips, tricks, and templates to help you scale your firm while reducing your workload. I have a podcast as well. And more notably, I've been coaching for the last few years. And just 2 years ago, started the Future Firm Accelerate online coaching program. Now has over 700 successful students inside of the program from all around the world. These are firms that want to earn more, work less, and implement the system that I'm about to show you in this presentation. They get access to self-paced training, they get access to coaching, and they get access to an amazing community of like-minded firm owners that help each other avoid pitfalls and accelerate their results. So that gives you a little bit of context for where I'm coming from today. But what I'd like to do now is transition this conversation over to you. And ultimately, we start our business, we start our firm to not only help people, but to help ourselves and to help our family and to give ourselves a better life and to improve our levels of happiness. So I'd like to pose the question to you, what's your idea of happiness? Think about what happiness means to you. And if we can just boil this down to the absolute basics here, let's go through a little future pacing exercise. Think about how much money you're making right now, how many hours per week you're working at the moment, and how much time off per year you're taking to truly disconnect. Bringing your laptop away with you on vacation or checking your phone every couple hours doesn't count. So think about where you're at right now. Now visualize your ideal life 3 years from now. What's your vision of happiness 3 years from now? How much money do you need to be making each year to actually be happy? And how many hours per week do you want to be working? And how much time off per year do you want to be taking to truly disconnect? So visualize that ideal life. Visualize what happiness looks like for you 3 years from now. And when you visualize that, does it include something like a massive mansion, like you see on your screen here? Does it include a collection of fancy cars? Does it include your own private island, your own private yacht, things of this nature? Or does it include more family time? More time on vacation for you to truly disconnect? More time for your friends and more time for hobbies? And when I ask that question to the hundreds of firms that I've coached, 9 times out of 10, they're looking for the latter. Sure, money is important, and I'm not trying to downplay that, and we want financial freedom. But what most people seem to be looking for when it comes to running their firm is they want to reclaim their time. They want more freedom. They want more time for their family, for vacation, for hobbies. And the Harvard Business Review Time, Money, and Happiness study supports this. They did a study where they found that after your basic needs are met, you've probably heard this before, that more income does not equal more happiness, and your basic needs in North America defined as around $100,000 a year. And they found that happiness was actually derived from having more free time and spending that additional income on things like experiences, like travel or hobbies. So really, that's what we're going to center our discussion around today. I'm not trying to downplay that growth and money is not important, it certainly is. But what I want to show you and what the results I want to help get for you are some of the results that this system has allowed our Future Firm Accelerate students to receive as well. So Georgie is a good example of this. He runs a firm out of Switzerland, had always gone through crazy busy seasons, but after implementing the system I'm about to show you, he's now working 3 to 4 hours less per day. And the best part is he gets to spend that time with his 2 young daughters. Emily is another good example where she's reduced her workload by 49%. She can take a 2-week vacation without having to worry very much. And she blocks off 2 days each week for not working. And she just so happened to also scale her firm by increasing her pricing and profitability as well. So this is really what I want to help realize for you today, is to help give you back your time, give you the system that's going to allow you to do that so you have more freedom and get to determine where you place that extra free time. The problem is that too many firm owners are just far too busy. We have the intention when we start our firm to give ourselves a better life, to give ourselves more freedom, and obviously we need money to support ourselves, so we start accepting a whole bunch of clients, and then we start to get too busy at one point, so maybe we start hiring some people, and it just becomes this cycle of more clients, more people on our team, and at some point it snowballs into some kind of predictable, chaotic mess where we're working more hours than we wanted to when we initially started the business, and we're heading contrary to some of the personal goals and aspirations we had when we started the firm, and we're exerting a lot of effort for the money that we're making. So it's the same sort of cycle that I see time and time again, and there's a reason for why firm owners are so busy. I could probably spend the whole session just on this topic, but if we can boil it down for a couple of reasons. The nature of the work adds a lot of pressure and puts a lot of pressure on our shoulders. We need to make sure that the work goes out on time, that we're hitting the deadlines every single month. Some months are obviously worse than others, especially busy season, but we have this never-ending slog of tight deadlines. We can't miss the deadlines. And on top of that, we need to make sure the work is of high quality, that whatever goes out the door. If it's not high quality and if we're not meeting the deadlines, there's negative consequences to ourselves and our clients. So there's a lot of pressure on us from the get-go. Add to the mix the way most firms are structured, however, it's not helping the matter either. Most firms have a very broad client base with a very broad set of needs, which means it's very difficult to standardize the operation. And when we can't standardize the operation, it becomes very difficult to systematize, which means it becomes very difficult for us to eventually take a step back from. So the broad client base with the broad set of needs means standardization is quite difficult. We're also often engaged in suboptimal pricing strategies, which means we're spreading ourselves too thin because we're doing too much for too little. This also means that we're not collecting appropriate margin to add the capacity that we need to remove bottlenecks and help us be less busy. So if you add all of these pieces together, we have a recipe for why firm owners tend to be so busy. So how do most attempt to reverse this cycle? When I get a firm coming to me looking for help because they're overwhelmed or they're looking to streamline their firm, the very first thing that they say to me is, I need better technology, I need better processes, I need more in automation. And yes, that's important, and it's going to be part of the solution, but it's not the full solution. And the reason why I know this is because when I started Future Firm, I actually started as a process improvement and technology consultant. And the first few engagements that I brought on were firms that were coming to me, they were overwhelmed, they wanted to streamline their business, and they just wanted as much automation and the best process as possible. And what I did is I analyzed their firm, and I was able to produce these lengthy reports with my findings and recommendations. But after a few of these engagements, what I noticed was that the firms that were coming to me already had decent automation in place. They already had decent processes. They already had a good number of apps in place. So that really helped me kind of take a step back and say, well, if technology and processes and automation aren't the solution, then what is? What is the solution to finally getting control over your firm where you could reduce your workload while giving yourself the ability to scale? And the solution I landed on is this, and we're going to go through this step by step in a moment. But I reflected on my experience from taking my firm from scratch to sale without having to work crazy hours. And I reflected on the experience of hundreds of others, firms that I was coaching, to develop this 6-step system that should be followed in a sequential order. And these are the 6 steps to less work and more life. And step 1 really has to do with implementing standardized packages where we're collecting strong margins through proper pricing strategies. Step 2 has to do with implementing a lead generation engine where we have a consistent deal flow coming through the door where we're landing 1 to 5 high quality deals per month. Step 3 has to do with making sure that we're finally eliminating overwork in our firm by implementing capacity planning. Step 4, we want to make sure that we're breaking down bottlenecks and adding capacity with a team of A players. Step 5 is making sure that we have one way to do everything in our firm with easy to follow processes backed by technology. And last but not least, step 6 is about making sure we have some kind of strategy in place, a strategic plan, so that every single action and decision that we make in our firm is consistent with our ideal lifestyle. So we're going to jump right into this system. We're going to start with step 1, which has to do with standardized packages with strong margins. So what is this step? It's about creating standard packages with high margins that you'll offer on a recurring subscription basis with all clients fitting into these packages. This is the most critical step when it comes to systematizing your firm. Standardizing what you offer needs to be step number 1, because every single thing you do in your firm flows from what you offer. So if we offer a million different things to a million different clients and we do it in a million different ways, we're going to have a million different processes, and it's going to become very difficult to onboard these clients, train the team, get the clients into your routine service delivery processes, because there's just no standardization. On the very other end of the spectrum, if we have one specific type of client that has one specific type of need with one very specific kind of solution, then we have much less processes that we have to deal with. It becomes much easier to onboard the client and get them into the routine and train our team on it. And I'm not suggesting we have to go that extreme, but I'm going to give you 2 contrary examples here of what non-standardized packages look like and what standardized packages look like. And non-standardized packages is something like you see here on your screen. This is a screenshot from just a random firm's website. And it's just a long list of what your firm can do. And the client is at their disposal to put together the formula or recipe that they want. So they can pick a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and just basically bundle together their own package. This is not something that's scalable. On the flip side, here's an example of something similar that I had implemented at my firm, Zen Accounting. And this is about 10 years ago now, but I still think most of it holds true today, where we put together packages. And these packages essentially become, we're curating the experience for our client. We want our clients to have an easy, pain-free experience. So we put together the services and features that allowed our clients to receive that. We're in the best position to understand how to get results for our clients. What we also did here is we set minimum and maximums, meaning we could service clients below the bronze package, but it's not within our sweet spot, and it's not the kind of client that we want, so we would reject those kind of clients. And we could service clients above the gold plan, but once again, it's not within our sweet spot. So we want to develop packages within our sweet spot. We want to put together services and features in these packages to help curate the experience that are going to get the results we want our clients to receive. And clients have to fit the mold. So clients have to fit the mold. They have to fit into these packages or a hybrid of these packages. And the beautiful thing about this is it becomes much more easy to onboard clients. It becomes much easier to train your team on this standard recipe. And it's the same recipe, it's the same formula that we apply to every single client. So it becomes very systematic in terms of how we actually deliver the work. So the systematization of your firm, the key to you actually working less and being able to scale, actually has to do with how we structure our packages. And we call this the productization of your services, because we're no longer just selling a service like bookkeeping, we're actually selling a product, which is the bronze, silver, or gold product. So a very quick way to get started with this strategy is just use a template similar to this. This is the same template we provide to our Future Firm Accelerate students. On the left-hand side, we have a couple subcategories. We have the services that we include, which are your deliverables. We have a level of support that clients can expect to receive from us. We also include apps that we would bundle into your plan. So here you can see apps like Sage or AutoEntry or Futurely. And then what we need to do is simply just fill in the blanks. what's the gold, what's the silver, what's the bronze, and make sure that we're differentiating these plans as much as possible so that there's some incentive to move up to your higher priced, more premium packages. Essentially, we're not just giving it all away on the bronze. So the key here is to when it comes to systematizing your firm is starting with your packaging strategy. Once you have your packages in place, then we need to make sure we're pricing it well. Pricing well is critical to earning more and working less. The busiest firms I see out there, the ones that are the most overworked, are the ones that are involved in the worst pricing strategies, where they're just not collecting appropriate margin or they're not charging enough to their clients, and it's stretching them way too thin. It also means that we're not collecting adequate margin to reinvest in the business to bring on better resources, better quality team members to help add capacity and remove bottlenecks. So pricing well is very, very important when it comes to reducing your workload, because theoretically, if you understand some price theory and some pricing tactics, or you know how to price well, you could price the exact same thing you're doing right now for more, which means you need less clients to make the same amount of money. So a lot of firms have a really hard time when it comes to pricing. There's some interesting tools out there. GoProposal is one of them, where basically a client would pick a package, you would enter the package into GoProposal, and you'll enter some of the variables such as things like number of transactions or number of bank accounts or reporting frequency, things of that nature, and GoProposal will spit out a fixed price that we would then offer on a subscription basis. Okay, so packaging and pricing is step one to systematizing your firm. Some good results by implementing this. Samantha was able to double what she normally charges thanks to this packaging and pricing strategy, and Owen was able to charge 40% to 300% more. So these are the types of results I want to see, and these are the types of results that we need when it comes to reducing workload in your firm while giving yourself the ability to scale. Once we have that pricing and packaging strategy in place, then we could focus on marketing. I sometimes see firms focus on marketing first just to bring in more revenues, but it does no good to focus on marketing if we have clients on the wrong kinds of service offers at the wrong kind of price points. So pricing and packaging first, then we could focus on marketing. And here I like to say that we want to be closing 1 to 5 high quality deals per month. So we need some kind of consistent deal flow. We need high quality deals to fund your lifestyle and grow the business. The problem is that a lot of firms have a hard time with marketing. A lot of firms have to hunt for clients. Hunting for clients is a big, big waste of time and waste of money. Believe me, I know this firsthand. I'm sure many of you here might be struggling on the marketing end of things, and I know what it's like to go through that because I was trained as an accountant. I was not trained to be a marketer. And the first while in my firm, I had, I could do a whole webinar just on failed marketing strategies that I implemented. Very costly, very time consuming, but I was able to eventually figure out a few things that worked quite well. But we don't want to hunt for clients. Where a lot of firms get stuck is where they should focus their efforts, what channels. There's Instagram, there's now like Meta Threads, there's a new social media platform coming up all the time. There's search engine optimization, Google Ads, blogging, YouTube, podcasts. Where should we focus our efforts? Truthfully, there's no real answer for that because all these channels work. It's just a matter of understanding the channel, being consistent, and being a bit patient. So we have to consistently work at that channel. So pick 1 or 2 channels that you resonate best with or that you're most comfortable with, and give yourself a good 6 months to ramp that up, because you're not going to see, with most of the channels, you're not going to see many results before that. I know that's not the type of answer many of you like to hear. So luckily, I have a couple quick win tactics that you can implement immediately following this session. I love email marketing. I wish I did this in my firm. My firm was based more on blogging and search engine optimization, where I'd say 90% of our business came through those digital marketing channels. But if I would have known about email marketing back then, it would have been a big part of our strategy. It's what I do. I do a lot of that at Future Firm. Nothing converts better than email. Email is one of the best converting marketing channels out there. And there's a couple tactics that you can implement immediately following this session. So let's start with quick win tactic number 1, which I like to call the PS email tactic. And unfortunately, many of us send a lot of emails. So you might be sending dozens of emails per day. You might even be sending 100+ emails per day. And across your team, perhaps you might be sending hundreds of emails per day. What I want to do is I want to turn every single one of your emails into a mini ad. So that way we have opportunity to pick up leads every time we send an email out. So what I'm suggesting is you strip everything out of your email signature. Take out your picture, take out your fax number, take out your address, take out all the messy stuff in your email signature, and instead just put a PS, just like you see on your screen here. And here it says, we help 7-figure e-commerce companies save time and make more money with easy automated accounting services. Schedule a call to learn more. So anything you want to promote in your firm, all you need to do is edit your email signature and add a PS. Members of our Future Firm Accelerate program, whenever I get emails from them, I always love seeing the PS at the bottom of their email, and I have no doubt many of you here today will probably implement this as well. Easy tactic number 2, the 6-word check-in email. The fact of the matter is that most clients don't hear from their accounting firm more than once or twice a year. So this is a lost opportunity for upsells, and it's also increasing the probability of clients churning. So by just sending this very simple email, and honestly, if you have any kind of email marketing software out there, you could automate this to just send it to everyone every 2 months. But just ask, how's business coming along? Hi, first name, how's business coming along? First of all, you're going to be surprised by just how many people are actually appreciative of this very simple email that you send. You're also going to get clients opening up to you about their current situation, and you'll be able to identify areas where you'll be able to add more value and therefore charge additional for. So marketing is not always about new clients. Marketing a lot of the time is about expanding revenue with existing clients. You could also use this check-in email for any lost deals or prospects or leads that you have in your sales funnel as well. And then the last thing is the thank you email. A lot of our firms are based off of referrals, and referrals is still a very, very good strategy because generally the closing ratio is a lot higher with referrals. So every time you complete a service is an opportunity to ask for a referral. Every time you complete your tax return, every time you complete bookkeeping month end, whatever it might be, every time you complete a service, thank the client for selecting you, and also let them know that you help clients achieve XYZ, that you focus on working with these kinds of clients, and ask them if they know anyone that fits the profile that they could refer. Some think that this is an annoying tactic. I personally disagree. My coach, I have a coach that every time we finish a meeting, I get an email from him saying, thank you for meeting with me today. And by the way, if you know people like this that need this kind of help, I'd appreciate an introduction. To me, I don't mind that kind of email at all. And at the end of the day, email marketing, the more emails you send, the more leads or sales you're going to make. So those are a couple easy win tactics that everyone can implement following this session. Step 3, we want to be now eliminating overwork with capacity planning. When I ran my firm, I didn't have a timesheet from day one, yet I was able to scale the firm. I was able to work normal hours, and my team was able to work normal hours as well. And that's thanks to capacity planning. I would not have been able to do it without this. Capacity planning is the process of balancing your available resources with your firm's client and project requirements. So time tracking, I'm not here to say you shouldn't be doing time tracking or you should be doing time tracking. I don't care what you do there, truthfully speaking, but time tracking looks at things in arrears. What I want to do is I want to look at things prospectively. So the gist of the exercise is that we have an idea. Remember what I said, like look at your idea of happiness 3 years from now and think about how many hours a week you want to be working. Well, I don't want you working more than those hours. So we know what that number is. So we can start planning all of our activities around that number. So if you want to work 30 hours a week or 20 hours a week or 60 hours a week, whatever that number is, that is your capacity. And then and your team will have a capacity of whatever your standard work week is, whatever you determine that to be. And what we can then do is assign time estimates to all tasks in your project management system and all work that you have. And this is an art, not a science. This doesn't even have to be something super complicated. I see a lot of accounting firm owners and partners get bogged down here. But what we're simply doing is comparing our available capacity with time estimates across all of our work to come to an understanding of where if we're over capacity or under capacity in the current month and in future months. So it's like a forecast for your time. We need to protect your time. It's your scarcest resource. Capacity planning is important because it's going to establish your capacity baseline. I have a lot of coaching students that go through this exercise the first time when they're really overwhelmed, and they're amazed at the insight they're able to see, and they could see exactly where they're overwhelmed and what they need to do to fix it. It's going to help you determine who to hire and when. I don't want you to hire someone and put a job posting out when it's already too late. We want to do that 2, 3, 4 months ahead of time so we can ramp that person up so we're not working above the amount of hours you want to be working. It's going to help drive decisions about strategic improvements. It's going to help you say yes or no. If you see in the coming month that you are, 50 hours over capacity firm-wide, and you have, a potential client that comes in the door that needs 10 months of bookkeeping, 10 years of bookkeeping catch-up, you're going to think twice about biting off more than you can chew. So here's the most simplistic way to handle capacity planning. There's more sophisticated ways to handle it, but here what we're doing is we're modeling out the next 12 months. So assuming we're in December, we're modeling out January to December of next year, and we're assigning time estimates to all tasks and all work. That's going to give you the total hours required to produce this work. We're also going to have weekly available capacity. This is the amount of hours you want to be working per week. That we're going to extrapolate that into monthly available capacity, and then you're going to be able to determine if you're over or under capacity in future periods and drive your decisions around that. So this is a very, very simple way to do it. If you don't do any capacity planning right now, you can do it in this manner, and I have no doubt that you're going to get some good rewards from this. But this is the tool that I use. This is one of the only numbers that I use to manage operations in the firm and get a finger on my pulse for how busy we were and what we need to do about it. Once we've understood our capacity, then we're in a position to start bringing on board a team of A players or start making our next hire. And we want A players on the team. We don't want B, C, or D players, because B, C, or D players are actually going to drag you down. B, C, or D, we want to add people on the team to add capacity, to make ourselves less busy, and to grow our firm to the next level. We don't want to bring people onto our team that's going to bog us down. So we need a team of A players. Ultimately, what we want to do is we want to remove bottlenecks. And 99% of the time, the ultimate bottleneck is going to be you. The firm owner or partner is involved with sales, marketing, client management, quality control and file review, hiring, managing the team, process improvement, technology improvement, literally everything. And that's fine at first, but at a certain point, there's a breaking point. And as you reach a certain size, it's just not sustainable to continue in that manner. So we need people on our team to eliminate the bottleneck. So when I think about bottleneck, I always think about this image that you see on your screen, which is the streets of Jakarta, Indonesia. So my wife is Indonesian. We go back there every so often, and it's a beautiful country. However, Jakarta is one place that tends to drive me a little bit crazy sometimes due to the traffic, because the infrastructure cannot support the volume of commuters. So even going a couple kilometers could take you a couple hours. Ultimately, you're going to get from point A to point B, but with a lot more stress and a lot more time. And that's the same thing that happens with firms when we're dealing with a big bottleneck, where we have too much work, we have too much volume. Ultimately, you're going to get it out the door, but with a lot more stress and a lot more time. What I want to do is I want to clear those roads, and I want it to be smooth sailing for you. And the way we're going to do that, the way we're quickly going to do that, is by adding capacity and by bringing on board a team of A players. So easier said than done. I know a lot of you might struggle when it comes to attracting A players. So I want to give you a couple tips here. The first thing that we want to do, if you're having trouble attracting A players, most likely it's because we're not selling yourself properly. We're not selling the firm or the role well enough. So A players have their pick of the litter, and they're reviewing dozens and dozens of postings, job posts all the time. And what they're going to gravitate towards are the ones that are a little bit more unique. And essentially, your recruitment process is just a sales process. So we need to treat your recruitment process like a sales process. We need to make your firm and the role intriguing for top quality talent. So if we look at two competing examples here, we have two job posts for similar positions posted around the same time. The latter gets 10 times as many applicants. It's a little hard to see on your screen, but the former job posting is very bland, generic, and quite boring. Whereas the latter is a little bit more interesting, and it points to some of the uniqueness of the firm, and it points to some of the uniqueness of the role, and how everybody on the team plays a role in growing the business and growing their clients. And that's what A players are looking for, is they're looking for something, they're looking to be a part of something, they're looking to play a role in improving the firm, improving the lives of their clients. They're looking for something a little bit different. So your recruitment process really starts with your job posting. There's other elements and other steps, obviously, but this is the first step. So if you're having trouble attracting quality candidates, we have to improve your job posting. So what I have for you, and I think Akriti said that we're going to be able to share these slides after, but you can take a snapshot or a screenshot of this. This is the job posting template that we use at Future Firm. This is the job posting template that our students of Future Firm Accelerate use. All you need to do is just fill in the blanks. If you do that, I'm very confident that you're going to get much better applicants to your job posting, because we're going to be highlighting your firm a little bit better, and we're going to make the role sound a little bit more appealing, and we're going to be giving some reasons for why people should be joining you. I'm going to show you some results of that in a moment. But first, I want to talk about retaining A players. And it does no good to attract all these great people, but not be able to retain them, especially within the first year and a half. 46% of newly hired employees were considered failed hires within 18 months, and only 19% of them were considered high performers within those first 18 months. So obviously, we don't want to be part of these negative statistics. We want to bring good people on board. We want to keep them on board, because that's going to be key for us to reduce our workload while giving ourselves the opportunity to scale the firm up. Why do new hires fail? The reason I'm showing you this is because I want to give you some tactics that you can implement in your recruitment process to avoid having any retention issues in the early days. Many of our recruitment processes and our interviews test for, can this person do a bank reconciliation? Can this person do a financial statement? Can this person do a tax return? But if you see here, 11% of these new hires are failing because they don't have the technical competence, whereas 89% are failing because they don't have the right attitudes to succeed in the role or the organization. So I don't want you to be in the 89%. And believe me, I was in those negative statistics for several years when I was running my firm. I had a lot of turnover. It was very painful. It was very time consuming and very, very expensive. I had a lot of turnover. And when I started shifting my interview and recruitment process to look for the right attitudes rather than the right skills, things changed dramatically. So now I look for people that are coachable. When you provide instructions or feedback, that feedback or instructions are implemented, and you don't have to repeat yourself continuously for the same thing. I look for people that are resourceful, people that are going to solve problems without having to intervene, people that are humble, so that we're not dealing with someone that's self-centered, that's ultimately going to drag you and the firm down. We're dealing with people that are empathetic and have good customer service skills so they can deal with your customers and clients on your behalf. Things of this nature. So I have a standard set of questions that test for these attitudes. You could load these types of questions up into the Sage HR interview scorecard, and then you can give them a thumbs up or thumbs down. If they're getting a thumbs down on any of those attitudes that I'm testing for on the previous slide, they're not going to make it through to the recruitment process. So we need some kind of method and tool that's going to allow us to rank and grade candidates in terms of attitude. So in terms of results, by shifting your recruitment process to one that's going to sell your firm and the role better, and every firm has something unique about them. We just have to think about what that is. And by shifting your interview process to one that focuses on attitude rather than just skill, we're going to see a lot better results. So I remember I gave a dedicated presentation on this very topic back in December, and I had someone come up to me after the presentation, Paula, who was having a really hard time adding capacity, and they're really, really busy. Well, after implementing that job posting template that I just showed to you, They got over 1,000 resumes for one of their posts and they found their perfect person. Okay, so these are the types of results that I'm not saying you're going to get 1,000 resumes, but you're probably going to get more than you're getting right now. Okay, step 5, easy to follow processes backed by technology. Earlier in this presentation, I downplayed the importance of automation, process improvement, and technology, but it's still a central part of this system to systematize your firm so that you're working less while giving yourself the opportunity to earn more. What we want is one way to do everything in the firm. So we want easy to follow processes for you and your team so that we have consistent results for all work and tasks. And we want to make sure that we're then backing those processes with automation and technology. Ultimately, what it comes down to is we want one way to perform the work, one more way to perform the task. We want to document how we do it because documented processes set you up well for delegation. And delegation is what's going to help you save time. So documented processes lead to delegation, lead to time savings. Focusing too much too early on processes is a trap. There's bigger levers that we can pull in the early days and that we need to pull in the early days. And I'm not saying to not have any processes or not have any technology at all up until this step. Obviously, we need some. But to really focus on some of them, we should be doing that probably at a bit of a later stage. So we shouldn't automatically jump to, I want to work less hours, I need better processes. There's the packaging and pricing strategy. There's making sure that we have capacity planning in place, making sure that we're putting the right people in place so that we're alleviating some of our bottlenecks. Then it's time to really hone in on the process side of things, really document everything, and make sure we have really solid technology in place. There's a lot of processes to standardize. I'm not going to go through it all, but all work and all tasks, we need to have a process for, there's administrative tasks, service delivery, client onboarding, etc. There's actually a process for process improvement. If you don't know where to start when it comes to improving your processes, it starts with writing down a list of all your recurring tasks, prioritizing improving the tasks in order of importance, documenting the task step by step next time you complete it so that you can hand it off to someone else to perform the work next time, and applying technology to automate the process following that. We want technology to come after. We have to understand our process first before we apply technology. Some interesting technology out there that's applicable to you. I had a similar kind of app in my firm, similar to auto entry, where it was provided to all clients. Every single client received it. They would send us their statements, they would send us their invoices, they would send us their receipts. It was mandatory. They had to take it. An app like auto entry is very, very valuable to streamline your service delivery processes, where the app is going to extract information from statements and invoices and receipts, and then automatically sync with your accounting software. So auto entry is interesting to automate your bookkeeping process. And Futurely is a very cool app, very popular app in the advisory space. If you're providing any advisory services like KPI dashboards, different kind of management reports, if you're involved in cash flow projections and budgets, it could automate a good chunk of that. So this is also an interesting app to look at when it comes to automating advisory work. One last tip for you, and we're going to move on to the next step. And I'm just keeping an eye on the time, cognizant of where we are at the hour. But so many firm owners I see have process improvement, technology, and automation as one of their top priorities. And for some reason, it just never gets done. And it just keeps getting pushed back farther and farther along. And that's because, number one, most firm owners are very, very busy. They don't have the time for it. They don't really have the interest for it, and they're not particularly good at it. And you can count me in the mix there as well. And what I did early on in my firm, and we were only about 5 people at the time when I brought this individual on board, is I brought on board a COO, someone to manage operations. And when I started Future Firm, I brought on board a virtual assistant. Then I brought on board a fractional director of operations. Now I have a full-time director of operations. Just last week, we brought on assistant to our director of operations to help with process improvement. It's a big project, and most likely you're not going to have time to do it all yourself. And this is an ongoing effort to implement processes and improve the processes and add and automating those processes more. So why not get someone else to help you with that and take that work off your shoulders? You probably shouldn't be doing this all yourself. Step 6, what we want to now have in place is make sure we have some kind of strategy, a strategic plan, which is often lacking at most firms. But we want that plan to tell us the pathway to get from where we are now to where we want to go, so that every single action and decision that we take is consistent with our ideal lifestyle. Why is this important? Because it's going to eliminate shiny object syndrome. Shiny object syndrome is a big waste of time. You're going to jump from project to project, idea to idea. You're going to get distracted very easily. You're not going to know what to work on next. You're going to get frustrated. So I actually think one of the best processes you can implement in your firm to save you time and to better systematize your operation is a strategic planning process, implementing a strategy and updating that strategy quarterly. I'm going to show you a very simple way you can do this. But essentially, a focused strategy is going to help you save time and accelerate results. It's going to get you from point A to point B in a straight line versus that squiggly line you see at the bottom. That squiggly line is when we get distracted and we don't know what to work on and we're jumping around all over the place. So your strategic plan is actually going to help you save a lot of time. Here's the simplest way that you can build out your strategic plan, which I call a roadmap. Your roadmap gets you from where you are now to where you want to be. And when it comes to your roadmap, the approach that I take is by starting with the end in mind. Remember back to one of the initial slides in this presentation, I said, visualize your ideal life 3 years from now. We want everything consistent with that. So start there. What does your ideal life look like? Get clear on how much money you need to be happy, how much hours you want to be working per week, and how much time off you want to be taking per year. Then what we're going to do is we're going to reverse engineer that and say, okay, in my business, I'm going to create a very simple 1-year plan. I'm going to list 3 to 5 broad goals that I need to attain, that when attained, I'm going to be on track for my ideal life 3 years from now. With that 1-year plan in place, we're going to work backwards once more. We're going to say, okay, in the next 90 days, what are the 3 to 5 specific priorities that I need to attain, that when attained, it's going to put me on track for my 1-year plan. So this is a very simple way, a very simple exercise to put some very simple strategic planning in place. Your 90-day priorities, once they're set, block everything else out. Focus on achieving those 3 to 5 specific priorities. Don't try to do too much. Don't try to list 10 priorities. They won't get done. You're already very busy. 3 to 5 specific things. Focus on achieving that. You're going to get traction in your business. A roadmap creates accountability, clarifies what you should be working on. Essentially, it's therefore going to save you time because it's going to help you focus better. It's going to get you to where you want to go faster. Your roadmap is going to keep you on track. After implementing these 6 steps, Marie comes to mind. Marie runs a firm in the US, and she was, respectable revenues when she came to me at 650K, but she was very stressed out, and she was the big bottleneck at the firm, and she was working long hours and nights and weekends, and she really didn't know what to do next. So we took it step by step. We followed these 6 steps of the system. By following the system, she was able to systematize the firm and step back from it. She grew it to 1.9 million in revenue. She's no longer doing client work, but the most important thing, in my opinion, is she has the mental and emotional bandwidth to run the firm the way she always wanted. So this is the summary of the system. We went through a lot today. I have 2 next steps for you because I probably overloaded you with information, but we're going to take it step by step. So these are the summary of the 6 steps that we just went through. Here's the next 2 steps for you. If you're not sure where to start, you're not sure where to go, the first thing I want you to do is carve out 30 to 45 minutes per day, put it on your calendar Monday to Friday, and work on strategy. You might say, Ryan, I don't have any time for this. I'm already very busy. There's no other way around it. If you're already very busy, we got to dig yourself out somehow. So we got to create some time to work on strategy. And the way I look at it is this. There's 24 hours in a day. Let's say conservatively, we sleep 7 hours a day, and like very, very conservatively, we work 10 hours per day, hopefully not that much. Some people might work more. That leaves us with 7 hours left in the day. 7 hours left to watch a bit of Netflix, spend some time with our family, spend a little time on our hobbies, eat our meals. Take 30 to 45 minutes out of that. You have the time. The time exists. put that on your calendar, and then move immediately to step 1 of this system, which is improving your packaging and pricing strategy. Get your packages in place, convert clients over to those packages, get new clients onto those packages, and reprice your clients. If you need more help, there's a couple of recommended resources. We have a lot of free stuff on our blog, on our podcast. The newsletter is my favorite place. Almost 10,000 readers on this free newsletter. Twice weekly email. You get content, tips, tricks, and templates to help you implement these some of these steps of the system. Future Firm Accelerate is our online coaching program, and that's where if you want everything on a silver platter, you'll get coaching, online training when it comes to pricing, marketing, sales, all the topics we discussed, and an amazing community that you can collaborate with. So that's where you can get a little bit more help. Now I'm going to pass it over to Akriti. I don't know if we have any questions that came through, but if anyone has any questions for me personally, feel free to shoot me an email as well. So I'm 10 minutes to the hour, so I think we're pretty spot on with our time estimate here, Akriti. So
You
I'll
are.
pass it over to you.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I'm very, I was looking at the last bit of the presentation. I was like, will we make it? But thank you, Ryan, for that. Excellent presentation. I think we've got some really, really good points and that you discussed, and a great way for them to, for our audience to just pick up as they find convenient. So thank you so much. I do have a question here. It's by Claudine. She says, seems to get a few calls now from clients that want to reduce my fees with the economy issues these days. How do you deal with that?
Those aren't always easy calls. It depends, I think, on your billing strategy. Like, I was always engaged in monthly recurring billing. So my goal was to maybe, sometimes it's just about minimizing the impact, right? And understanding where, like, we need to be continuing to provide value. Sometimes, the client situation is they just can't afford it anymore. So it's really going to be a case by case, but I'm looking to minimize value as much as possible, and also maybe treat the call as an opportunity to see if there's other areas where we could add value. If someone's coming to me and I'm looking at the business and it's not in terrible shape, and they're concerned about cash flow, but they haven't done any cash flow forecasting, perhaps that's actually an opportunity to upsell. So sometimes they're minimizing because they're uncomfortable with something. So if we find out what they're uncomfortable with, and perhaps it's not even fully justified, and we can help them feel at ease, perhaps we could actually turn that situation from one where they're trying to reduce to one where we can actually upsell. So, but other times it's just about minimizing the impact, because we're not going to be able to fully eliminate that either.
Awesome, thank you. If there are any other questions, feel free to put them in the question box. I know that there was a lot to digest in that, so there might be some follow-ups coming for you, Ryan. But yeah, let's just give everyone a couple of minutes to see if there are any questions. If not, then we can call it a close. So let's just give them a couple of minutes.
Sure, no problem.
The question box, just for everyone's reference, is in the GoToWebinar panel that you see on your right-hand side. And there's a small area that says questions, and you can just pop that open and put your questions in there. So.
Normally, I'm used to getting like tons of questions. So this is what, so everyone, hopefully you've understood it perfectly well. You're all able to implement and execute. But yeah, normally I'm used to a lot of questions where I'm just like trying to slog through them all before the top of the hour, but it seems we have a smart audience here today.
I think so. All right. Oh, there is one more. Okay. Oh, now there are a few questions coming in. Good.
There we go.
Yes. So Sabrina says, I charge hourly. How do I manage current clients when introducing packages?
So what we need to do is we want to transition them from hourly to monthly recurring. And what I find typically works well, and I think I have a podcast specifically about an annual re-engagement process. I like to implement an annual re-engagement process. I think that's a good place for you to make that transition, where what I would typically do is I would meet with the client. and I would understand where they're heading in the coming year and what they find challenging and what they need more help with. And perhaps there's things over and above that we can help with what they're currently getting. And what I would do is I would maybe annualize what you've charged over the past year and divide that by 12 and put that as the bronze package. So a basic service level, and they're not going to be paying more than what they paid last year, but we're giving them a basic service level for that price point. So we're saying, here's what you paid last year. Now we're just spreading it over 12 months. Here's the service level for your bronze package. And then some of the things you might have identified on that call with the client about how you can maybe provide more value, you would put that in the silver and gold options. So a lot of the time you'll see those hourly clients actually moving up to the silver package in a lot of instances. So that's the simplified way to handle that kind of. That's a very short way to explain how to handle that transition.
Awesome. Any tips on transitioning current clients to a new pricing strategy to minimize loss of clients?
Yeah, basically similar to what I just explained. Yeah, just very similar to what I just explained. What we want to do is meet with the client, understand their needs, understand their pain points and their challenges, understand their objectives, and then we can craft those packages around that. So the bronze is kind of what they're getting right now, maybe even a little bit scaled back, and we're dividing their annual price by 12 to give them a monthly price. And the silver and gold are going to include some of the things that we've identified on that call. And generally speaking, there's less pushback when we're adding value, and we know there's things we can help with, and they've expressed interest in some of those things. We get much less pushback to actually pay higher prices.
Absolutely. There's one question here that says, is it nice to put pricing on the website?
So I had a LinkedIn post about this last week or 2 weeks ago. So if you like, follow me on LinkedIn. But I have no opinion one way or the other. When I first started my firm, I showed pricing, and then I moved away from showing pricing. I think showing pricing, if you have a lot of leads, so if your website is generating a lot of traffic and you don't have the bandwidth to handle all the leads, the price on your website will act as a filter. Unless the price is too low, then you're going to be just getting a lot of maybe perhaps lower quality clients that you don't want. If you put it too high, you're going to filter out certain prospects or leads that you might have been able to convert during the sales process. So I think a happy medium a happy medium would be show starting at prices on your site, or don't show any prices at all. Have someone book the call with you, and before the meeting, send them an email saying, thank you, really looking forward to it. Our comprehensive packages include XYZ, and the pricing starts at X dollars per month. And the ones that are very price sensitive will cancel that meeting beforehand. But we want to give ourselves an opportunity. Sometimes clients have a certain price in mind about what they want to charge, but we could take them through a discovery call process, a sales process that's going to allow us to uncover areas where we can add value, where they'll become less price sensitive. So we want to give ourselves an opportunity to take that client a little bit more upstream.
Okay, awesome. I think pricing is like one of the main things that people are talking about here.
We'll do our next campaign around that then, Akriti.
Absolutely. So actually, I've got one for Go Proposal here. So this one says, how would you leverage a pricing tool like Go Proposal to look at pricing with current customers and creating those packages?
So how I would leverage it? Maybe could you repeat that one if you don't mind?
Yes, just 1 second. How would you leverage a pricing tool like Go Proposal to look at pricing with current customers and creating those packages?
I think because Go Proposal has a bit of a formulaic approach to pricing, where we could run the current services through Go Proposal to see if we're over or under pricing. Ultimately, it still comes down to whether the client sees value in that price. So we always have to make sure that we're having a proper call with the client or prospect to uncover value drivers, and then Go Proposal is going to spit out a price, and then we can justify the price in terms of the value that we're creating when we've extracted those value drivers from the call. So it's a fast, Go Proposal is a fast way to price, but we still need to base that price on the conversations we're having with the client.
Absolutely. Oh, wow. There are like a whole lot of questions coming in now, and I see we're close to the top of the hour. So I'm going to take a couple of more here, and the rest of them is something that Ryan will reach out to you, and we can, reach out to the people.
Depending how many questions there are.
Yeah. So, okay. Uh, there's someone who says, if I've been performing services over and above normal bookkeeping service, how do I now tell them that I won't be doing this in the bronze package? Interesting.
You don't really have to. That's the beauty of the 3 packages, is you say, here's your options. And, this is the bronze, and this is the silver, and this is the gold. Which one do you like? So you don't have to, you let them choose. You don't have to kind of justify it anyway.
Awesome. I'm going to quickly skim through a couple of more here.
Do we need to have a hard stop, McCready? If so, that's not a problem, but I personally don't need, but it's up to you.
No, I think we can go a couple of minutes over. That's okay. Just trying to look at this. Just give me 1 second. We implemented a starter, grow, and enterprise package tier. We keep getting pushback on our lowest tier, which is only $500 per month, with substantial offerings, including tax and bookkeeping. Any advice?
I don't like those packages. This is coming from a firm that used to service those startups. Our niche was the startup industry. And after coaching hundreds of other firms, I see a trend where there's firms that try to put together a comprehensive package geared towards that kind of market. That market can't always absorb the cost, and the price has to be good for both parties. I see that price being good for the startup. $500 is not enough in today's economy and with our costs, and it's not enough to be profitable. I don't think you can scale a firm that way unless we are leveraging our service in some particular way. As an example, instead of you doing the bookkeeping, maybe you have an online course or a series of videos that show them how to do their own bookkeeping, that show them how to use auto entry and show them how to use this, and then you would maybe review it every quarter or every 6 months. There's some complexities involved with that, and the course would have to be good enough to teach a certain type of person to do the books, and startups are very type A personality, like the founders, where they're generally maybe not going to be great with that. But we have to leverage your service in some way to come up at a price point that makes sense for both parties. But a $500 price point where you include everything, it's not going to work out well for you.
Awesome. I think we're down to the very end. I think a couple of more. So do you personally adjust your package pricing each year to adjust the cost of software, supplies, etc.?
Never. What I don't like passing on costs to the client. I don't like passing off inflation to the client. Instead, what I'm doing is I'm looking at a meeting each year with the client, understanding where we could drive more value, and significantly increasing the price for that additional value creating. So not all clients are going to accept. You're going to have some clients that maybe fall onto the same price points, but you're going to have a bunch of clients that move up to higher price plans. And we're not talking like an 8% or 7% cost of living. We're talking about 20, 30, 40, 50%, 100%, 200% increases. So that's what I want. That's the approach that I take to repricing clients.
Awesome. I think the last one here is any guidelines on strategic pricing. I think this is something that you've covered in the various discussion around pricing, but just to kind of highlight.
It's a bit broad of a question, but ultimately, when you're pricing, doesn't matter what price you come up with, the client has to agree to that price. So it always comes down to understanding the client, understanding their value drivers. What drives value for them? How are you making them more money? How are you saving them time? How are you making them feel better about their accounting or reducing anxiety or stress levels with their books or taxes? If you're finding out these kinds of things, your service is going to be extremely valuable. And that's when we're positioned to price it higher and close deals at higher price points.
Awesome. I think that was the last of it. Um,
All right.
Great. Thank you so much, Ryan, for this amazing webinar. I know that our audience is very excited for it. I've got a couple of comments here saying that there was a lot of information in it, so they're going to take some time to digest it and reach back. But this was really informative and would really, really help the audience. So thank you so much for putting this together for us.
Thank you very much to you. Thanks to Sage, and thanks to everyone for being here today. I really appreciate it. Have a good day, everybody.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We're very excited for you to join us. And at the very end, when you close this webinar, you're going to get a little bit of a short survey. Do let us know. It just talks about what topics you're interested in for us to plan our future webinars. So do let us know. And as I said at the beginning, we have a lot of content that we are trying to push out to you, all for streamlining your firm to making it more systematized. So look out for future webinars that are coming around that. And thank you once again. You all have a great day. Thank you, Ryan.
Bye, everybody.